and there's others who are like, I'm not sure. Right? And so I think it's really interesting to sort of think about this whole notion of voting. We oftentimes don't have as strong an understanding of what voting can do. And it turns out that secret ballots are a very interesting tactic. Now, what I'm going to come up with, I'm not going to suggest that you should always do a secret ballot or never do a secret ballot, right? We're going to look at the pros and cons of secret ballots. And one of the things that secret ballots does is it gets rid of this normative pressure, right? Because your vote is not associated with you. So if there are powerful, scary people in the group, this private vote allows you to sort of go under the radar of being identified with your vote. It also, creates a situation where, because I'm sitting here, it's only me and my vote, right? I'm really more personally accountable to the actual vote that I make. When I'm in a large group, I can just go along with the majority. I don't take personal responsibility for that. Right? But public voting also has some wonderful benefits. Because what happens is public voting, right, increases conformity. And maybe that's what I want. You could imagine a situation where you're in a group, you don't think you have the ability to be you don't think everybody is with you, but you are actually higher status than they are. You're making it higher and higher, and you want them to vote a certain way. So perhaps, for example, maybe a situation, let's say we're recruiting a new faculty member at Stanford in my group, and I want this person to be hired. But there's some junior faculty who are not so enthusiastic. But I'm a senior faculty member. I'll vote on their tenure. I vote on their continuance. So maybe we should have a public vote. Who's going to vote with me? Right? And they go, should I tell you the truth about how I feel about this, or should I go with, maybe I think that's good, I like that. Good idea, right? So part of it is that it's successful, right, when there's a lot of status differential, and you want people to agree with you. I mean, that's what public voting does. So it is clearly an example of normative influence. Now, the issue of whether the decision is public or private voting means how much weight do you want to give to the individual? Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, no, I'm not telling you it's the right thing to do.
Because you were talking as a pro.
I'm just saying pro and con. Because we oftentimes choose a voting strategy without really thinking through it. Some of us do. Others of us know exactly why they're doing it one way or the other. So if my manager says, let's have a public vote, I understand that they are trying to keep if I happen to be disagreeing, they're keeping the disagreeing voices quiet. Right? A private vote allows that disagreeing voice to be more likely to be heard. Right? But clearly, whether it's right or not, right, I can't really respond to, because sometimes the correct answer is we need to go in this direction, and you disagree, but we can't take that disagreement.
It's also, like what you said yesterday, it's helping people everybody to talk at first, at the beginning, the private voice. It's like when you said yesterday, it's like the first person talking is the less person that can be influenced by others. It's the same thing, but this is for voting, and that's for talking and giving opinion.
And so what happens is that I just need to understand, as I think about which strategy I want to use, what the differential effects are, right? And you can sort of imagine scenarios. I mean, we saw it here when they were deciding, well, how do we get started, right? And do you remember the stockbroker said, it's customary that we take a vote. And so everybody went, oh, okay, fine. He imposes structure, he suggests a structure, and because everybody's so uncertain, they just accommodate. Interestingly, if you think about, there's been a ton of research on jury decision making and how to make good decisions in this kind of situation. And the worst thing you can do is a public vote early on. Well, no, because what happens? What does a public vote also do? makes, yeah, I would say the opposite, but what you're saying is resistance to change. Once I make a public statement of opinion, it's harder for me to back down. So now I spend my time defending my position rather than listening to the other side. Right? So part of what the research has said to us, and this generalizes to regular teams as well, right? To the extent that we make early public statements about our positions, we solidify or harden our positions and make it harder for us to change. So what the research in jury decision making says is, what you should do is take a private vote so you know where you are. Be very clear that you don't want folks to say whether they think it's guilty or not guilty, right? But rather, once you have the private vote, you know where you are, then go to the evidence and create the story. Let the evidence tell you. So in an organizational decision process,